Hello, my name is Luca Torsini from Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and you're listening to the Pro Hockey News Podcast.
Hello, hockey fans from around the world. I am Richard Cote, the producer of the Pro Hockey News Podcast. It is the second line edition of the podcast, and you know what that means. Well, actually, if you're not watching the video, you may not know what that means. It means we are missing a Canadian, missing our snarky Canadian number one, Jacob Doherty. He is unable to join us this week as we are recording early on Thursday, May 15th. But in his place, I will give you more of what you are asking for, listeners. More of Dr. Lou Lafredo. Lou, how are things in Albuquerque?
Okay, I was just spending about 10 or 15 minutes on the police blotter in Toronto and Sunrise, Florida. So I was a little preoccupied.
And what were you doing there? Were you looking for some of the Panthers to be?
Yeah, I was. But anyway, yeah, back to you.
Listeners, we also have our intern, Nicholas Principe. Nicholas, you know, last time we talked with you, things were looking quite up in Toronto. Are they still up?
They couldn't be any lower.
Oh, no, they can be.
Oh, no, because we're going to get there, but even if we lose, it's not as low as last night's game.
Yeah.
The anticipation of the drop is worse than the actual drop.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got it. I mean, I know you guys have been there for 9 years in a row that, you've had these early exits, but you got to keep the faith. It's not, to quote the great Yogi Berra, it is not over till it's over.
It's over.
And also not a lot of people go there because it's too crowded. Another one of his great quotes.
Yeah.
All right, listeners, this episode of the Pro Hockey News Podcast is brought to you by My Custom Sports Chair. Head over to mycustomsportschair.com, enter in code PHN15 to get yourself 15% off of one of the greatest and sweetest Adirondack chairs you will ever put in your fan cave. Put any logo, you put the Pro Hockey News Podcast logo on there. Share it with us. Let us know you support us while supporting the inevitable that is the failure of the Toronto Maple Leafs. All right. We have no bangers and mash. We wrapped up a couple weeks ago. We got the final one from Lou. I think we move into some minor league playoffs. We have the Kelly Cup playoffs and the Calder Cup playoffs going on. Lou, let's go over the what we have so far in the ECHL as we are moving our way towards the Kelly Cup. We have our conference finals set up. We have the Florida Everblades and the Poitiers Lions who are going to be facing each other in the Eastern Conference. That starts tomorrow on the 17th. And then we have the Kansas City Mavericks and the Toledo Walleye facing off in the West. Game one. Says game one was
tonight.
Today.
Yeah.
I keep forgetting we're not recording on a Friday. It's like Thursday. Wait, Thursday was yesterday. What year is this?
Yeah.
You said tomorrow was the 17th.
I did say tomorrow was the 17th. Thank you for correcting me. I am just all over the place. All right. So, yes, tonight, Thursday, May 15th, is when the Western Conference Finals begins between the Kansas City Mavericks and the Toledo Walleye. Lou, what have you been noticing between these two teams going through the playoffs? I know I've been on the Kansas City bandwagon ever since last year when they disappointed me in the Kelly Cup playoffs, or in the Kelly Cup final. In the Western Conference Final. What has stood out with you between these two teams going through the playoffs this year?
Well, of the two, I think the Mavericks have had the easier pairing so far. They come into the Western Conference Final after sweeping the Tahoe Night Monsters 4-0, and doing it in rather convincing fashion. I mean, it was, really that series wasn't close at all. Despite Tahoe playing a really good first round and earning that berth in the semifinals. I think the walleye. When you look at who they were up against, they did sweep the first one, the first series against Indy Fuel, 4-0, and then had a little bit of a tougher time against the Comets, going 4-2 in that series. But that I think that series was much closer, and I would think that it preps them a little bit more when they come up against the Mavericks starting tonight.
Yeah.
But it is who we predicted.
It is who we predicted. You and I
Both
both
teams.
had
Yeah.
Toledo and Kansas City in.
Yeah.
I believe Jacob had
The Comets because of their logo.
exactly. He was riding high on the Comets. Although, I mean, that series went 6 games. It's not like that
Yeah.
was
It was not a pushover.
it was not a pushover like the Mountain Division was.
Yeah.
All right, now looking at the East, we have our perennial playoff team in the Florida Everblades there every single year. No shock. The Poitiers Lions uh, taking their series to 6 games against the Norfolk Admirals. I wouldn't like, yes, game 6 was high scoring, but everything else in this series, like it wasn't an offensive blowout by any means. There was, plenty of 1 goal games. Games 1, 4, and 5 were all 1-0. And game 5 went to overtime with Poitiers
Right.
winning 1-0.
Right. Right.
Where has the offensive firepower gone? Or did Norfolk just happen to have a good playbook against Poitiers?
Good goaltending for one thing, and I think the defensive scheme that was drafted up for the Admirals certainly kept the Lions to the outside. There weren't a lot of second chance shots on goal. And so, that's the reason for both teams did it to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Consequently, you had those 3 1-0 games, including the one that went into double overtime, I think, before that one was won. Yes or no?
I think it was a single overtime.
Just single. Okay. I thought they
Uh,
had gone to a double on one of their games. In any
nope.
event, um, the defensive schemes were great on both sides, and the Admirals had a great season as well. You can't discount anything that happened in the playoffs based on their season. They took out the Wheeling Nailers 4 games to 1, and really that series was not as close as that 4-1.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that um, they could, with the bounce of a puck, something happening in the course of a game, and it may very well have gone to 7 games, and then who knows what happens against the Lions. But the Lions had a great season, continued it through. They swept the Reading Royals in the first round, and really only gave up those 2 games to the Admirals before facing one of your favorite teams, right?
Yep. So what do we have to look forward to in the Eastern Conference Finals here with Florida and Poitiers? Do we think the offensive firepower is coming back for Poitiers, or do we think it's going to be another Florida, easy step into the Kelly Cup?
I don't think it's going to be easy. What I would envision with this series is another grinding series like the Lions had with the ads in the second round here. And in order to get to the conference final in the East, Florida had to take out the Solar Bears, and that was 4 games to 1. But there were a couple of those losses by the Solar Bears that were really competitive. And so I see the Blades as having to have danced their way through, um, um, to get into the conference final. It was not as easy as we might have thought it was going to be. Although I think I had picked the Solar Bears to make it through. Maybe I'm mistaken on that, but I had higher hopes for the Solar Bears, particularly after their first round knockout of the Stingrays.
Yeah, no, that was impressive
Yeah,
what they did
yeah,
in the first
and
round.
so I don't know if you're looking for predictions yet, but at some point we'll have to predict this
Well,
series, right?
yeah, I mean, I think this is the perfect setup for
All
that.
right.
Let's do some predictions here on the Eastern Conference Finals in the ECHL.
Okay.
Who do you have, Lou?
I've got the Lions in 7 in the East. How about you? What do you
I
think?
I have a hard time going against Florida. I am going to go Florida. It's going to be probably a 6 game series. I don't know if any of these games are going to be terribly close, to be honest.
Hmm.
I'm gonna bet the majority of these games are going to be by 3 goals or more.
Wow. Okay.
Nicholas, do you have any prediction for the Eastern Conference?
Personally, I want to say the Everblades would go through. I mean, they've only lost one game this entire playoff run,
Right.
right?
Right.
So
Mhm.
that's pretty nuts, but I got to stick to my countrymen, my country teams. So I'll take Trois.
Okay. Yeah, how many games?
Let's say 6.
6 games. All right. Let's look at the West with the Kansas City Mavericks and the Toledo Walleye. Lou, what is your prediction for this series?
Uh, I'm going to take Toledo in. Hmm. I don't know. The last time we all got together, I was picking 6 here and 6 there, and I'm going to take 7 in this one. So Walleye in 7 over the Mavs.
Walleye in 7. All right. Nicholas, do you have a prediction?
Well, going based off last time we met, I used the Jacob strategy of picking logos, and I picked Tahoe over Kansas. So I didn't expect this at all, but I think the Walleye in 5.
The Walleye in 5. I'm torn here because this was the point last season where I was so gung ho with the Kansas City Mavericks, and I still think they are a very good team. I think they have what it takes to overcome the Walleye. I'm gonna go with it. I'm gonna go Kansas City. It's going 7 games though, and this I think is gonna be the most exciting matchup between the two conference finals. And I think no matter what, we are in for one exciting Kelly Cup um, after these are all said and done. All right, let's turn our attention to the AHL, or the American Hockey League, as the kids call it these days. We have some action moving forward. We are now in the uh, division finals round of the Calder Cup playoffs. With 1 game having been played with the North Division, the Laval Rockets are 1 game up on the Rochester Americans. Um, we have the Hershey Bears and the Charlotte Checkers in the Atlantic Division, the Milwaukee Admirals and the Texas Stars in the Central Division, and the Colorado Eagles and the Abbotsford Canucks in the Pacific Division Finals. And Lou, I want to get your feelings here because I don't know what it was, but I had higher hopes for the Providence Bruins. I thought maybe they might be able to make it out of the next round. Like I I had higher hopes. I guess maybe it's because I have enough, you know, some sort of ties with the Boston Bruins, but I don't know. They seem to have fallen apart there.
Hershey just Hershey put on a clinic is really what it comes down to in that series to take them out. Um, and it, to be honest, it was a surprise to me as well. I think I would have liked to have seen Providence move on if for no other reason than, share that Calder Cup around instead of it going, nothing against Hershey, but I mean, see some other teams take a whack at it, but Hershey just stepped up and that 5 game series is just no way to play hockey. But the Bruins took the hit.
That was
Yep.
Charlotte, Lou.
Charlotte. Yeah.
Checkers. Excuse me, Checkers. What am I saying? Checkers put on the
They're
clinic.
playing the Bears right now.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Yes.
and
Um, no, no.
this the
Oh yeah.
series between Providence and Charlotte just didn't seem like a terribly close series. Although it did go to game 5 in a 5-game series, it went to the
Yes.
final game, but none of the games seemed terribly close outside of game 2. It was a 2
Well,
nothing win for Charlotte.
right. And Providence had to scratch through that game 4 in order to stretch it out to the deciding game for them, and it was no contest in the 5th game.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, I mean, has there been any other surprises? I mean, the only teams I see in the division finals that I haven't seen there in a while, I mean, Hershey, Charlotte, they're usually there. Rochester makes it pretty deep into the playoffs. Um, it's, I mean, the Colorado Eagles, because they're new to the AHL, they used to be in the ECHL. So this is kind of new territory for them here. The Abbotsford Canucks,
Mm.
also fairly new team. Um, do you think any of these younger teams uh, have a better shot at making it to the Calder Cup this year, or do we think we're going to see more retreads? We're going to see more of the Rochester Americans, the Texas Stars, the Hershey Bears, any of those ilk.
Um, I think the one you've got there in Colorado could be interesting. The Eagles against the Canucks. The Canucks had to take out the Firebirds. Eagles merely had to take out the Barracuda, who, just aren't. Uh, uh, they're a good team, but they're not a great team.
Mm-hmm.
Canucks, on the other hand, did in fact take out a good team with in the Firebirds.
Yeah.
So out of that one, boy, I think I'm leaning towards Abbotsford
Yeah.
on this one. I just think that they've got a vibe about them this season. In fact, all season, and now coming out of that opening series, what was their opening series in pretty good fashion against the Firebirds, puts them in a good position against the Eagles. On the other hand, I wouldn't be surprised for it to go the other way, just to
I
hedge my
mean,
bet.
right now the Eagles, I bet, are wishing they would have been able to hang on to that late season edition they had. This kid, he got called up really quick to the Avs. What was his name? Landeskog.
Oh yeah,
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 I wish they probably wish he had him for the playoffs right now, but yeah, he's getting to enjoy some time off.
yeah.
How about the North Division with the Laval Rocket and the Rochester Americans? Here's one where we saw the first game played. This looks like it's going to be a high scoring affair, 5-4 in favor of Laval. Um, is this going to be going the complete 5 games, do you think? And are we going to see games as high scoring as this?
I don't know because the Rocket scored late in this one. So this was 4-4 going into the final few minutes of the game, and they went up. Rochester could not get the equalizer late. Um, the Mercs have been really good this season as well, and it's not until you really dig into the numbers that you see just how good they are or were this season. And so for them to have taken out Syracuse, those are two teams that see each other a lot before Rochester got into this round. And it's the same here. And I think that's the difference between the Colorado Abbotsford series and the Rocket and a Merck series. These two teams play each other constantly because the travel is cheap, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's easy to get up to Laval. It's easy for the Mercs to get over to Syracuse, and so everybody knows everybody else and what their tendencies are. So this could be a fun series, but I think for it to be really fun, the Americans have to come back and even it up in game 2. Otherwise, I think the series is over. and it could be a sweep at that point because the Rocket are that good.
Yeah. I I don't know. I really would love to see a full 5 game slate between these two with, goals being scored left, right, and center. That to me makes for some exciting hockey. I don't know. I'm kind of an enigma here where I really like high scoring games, but I also really like the nail biter 1-0 games,
Yeah.
especially in the playoffs. So if it, I think either way, I'm not going to be disappointed with how this series shakes out unless it's like a 3-0 sweep
Yeah.
um, come the end of it. But
What about our
um,
learned colleague?
Me?
Yeah.
I don't got much to say, to be honest with you. I mean, if you want predictions, we can go
Yeah.
predictions.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I
Give
yeah,
us a prediction
I
on
was
those
about
two
to set that
series.
up, Lou, and you
Yeah.
went. Okay,
Yeah.
all right,
Yeah.
let's start with the North Division. I mean, let's start at the top. Uh, North Division. We know it's already a 1-0 series lead for Laval. Um, Nicholas, who's going to take this series and how many games?
I think Laval in 4.
All right, Lou.
Same thing. Laval on 4. That's why I called him my learned colleague.
I
And
learned
I
from
had
the
written this
best.
down on my pad before we started these. I also went with Laval in 4 games.
Okay.
I'm hoping for 5, but it's probably going to be 4. All right, let's go to the Atlantic Division. Probably the least exciting series, at least personally for me. Hershey at Charlotte. Let's start with Nicholas.
Let's go Hershey sweep.
All right, 3 games. Okay, Lou.
Um, I am going to I'm going to take the Checkers in 5.
All right. I am also taking Charlotte in 5. They are looking strong. That that series against Providence, you know,
Yeah.
put some doubts in my mind with Providence and some confidence with Charlotte going in. Yeah, I'll take them in 5 as well. All right, let's look at the Central Division. The Milwaukee Admirals at the Texas Stars begins this evening. Lou, who you got?
I'll take the Stars in 4.
All right, Nicholas.
That was going to be my pick as well.
All right. I also have Texas, but I have this one going the distance with 5 games. All right. Last one, we have the Pacific Division Finals. Start with Nicholas, Colorado, Abbotsford.
I think the Eagles in 5.
All right. Lou?
Hmm. Canucks in 5.
All right. And just like Nicholas, I am going to have to go with my local team, Colorado. 5 games. It'll be a good series. All right. Speaking of playoffs, we have more playoff action happening in the PWHL. We are waiting for the second team to arrive for the Walter Cup. Right now, we know that the Minnesota Frost will be waiting to play the winner of the Ottawa Charge Montreal Victory series. Right now, the Ottawa Charge are leading the series 2 games to 1. This This has been a really good series and honestly shocking to me because, Montreal has been so dominant uh, over the course of the regular season. And now that things have slowed down for them in the playoffs, remember, they got to choose their opponent and who they were going to face in the first round of the playoffs. They chose to go with Ottawa. And right now they are down 2 games to 1. Game one, all of them have been single goal games. Game one was a 3-2 Ottawa win. Game two went to 4 overtimes. Victory won 3-2. And then last night, not last night, game three was an Ottawa 1-0 win. And game 4 is going to be played tomorrow night, May 16th in Ottawa. And then, of course, game 5, if necessary, is going to be in Montreal on May 18th on Sunday. I mean, I am a little disappointed with, Montreal's performance starting these playoffs. But man, has this one been a really good series to watch. Um, Nicholas, if you are going to put money on the winner of game 4 and who you could potentially, sorry, let's just focus on game 4. Uh, who do you have winning game 4, and is this series going to continue?
I think Ottawa wants it more. Montreal's kind of shut down with their offense even towards the end of the season. So I just think Ottawa, they're like, you know what? You picked us. We're going to show you why you shouldn't have. And I think they take game 4, the charge.
I mean, that's how they have been playing. You're right. I mean, Ottawa has just looked a little bit faster. They've looked a little hungrier. It's been quite the surprise. Lou, do you have the same thing? Is Ottawa going to close it out tomorrow night, or is this going to go on to game 5?
I think goes on to game 5. Um, you know, I'm not sure how Montreal did not ride that quadruple overtime win into game 3, but I can't imagine that they are not being scolded. They're being reminded of who they were during the regular season and where did that team go. But I think they'll take game 4, push it to the limit.
All right. Okay, my heart says I want this to go 5 games because I am thoroughly enjoying this series. My brain is telling me exactly what I've seen in the first 3 games. Ottawa has just looked like they are ready for this. And my brain says Ottawa is going to close it out tomorrow night. We are going to see an Ottawa, Minnesota Walter Cup. And I don't know if anybody who's paid attention to the last few episodes, and as we've been covering the PWHL, I've kind of discussed my disappointment with the Minnesota Frost towards the end of the season because I mean they were right up there with Montreal, and then halfway through the season their season just took a nosedive. They made their way back into the playoffs. Now I'm eating my words because they're going to be playing for the league's championship, and I am stuck here with probably a prediction that was not going to be correct. So Minnesota waiting for the winner of this series. They took charge of that. It'd been better if they were playing Ottawa, but they took charge of their series, winning in 4 games. Game 1 it was a 3-2 victory. Game 2, or sorry, game 1 was a 3-1 or 3-2 loss. Game 2 was a 5-3 win. Game 3 they turned it up even more, 7-5. And then game 4, they had to go to overtime to finally win 4-3. It looks like their offense is back, Lou.
Yeah. First of all, I think they got healthy. There were a number of signings and LTIRs mid-season forward, and then obviously picking up the pace as the season started to close out. Got that big win to close out the chase and nail down that 4th spot. But you watch you pick up on the highlights and you can really see why the Frost are now about to go into their 2nd straight PWHL final. They really played well. They were on a hot streak going into the playoffs. They continued it, and now they're getting a rest for however many days it's going to take before the final gets put into gear. But they're going to be rested and you would think ready to go.
Yeah. So we have 3 teams still playing in the playoffs. So I don't think it's. I mean, we could do who's going to face Minnesota in the final, but I think right now let's do who are Walter Cup champions going to be between the 3 remaining teams. And I'm going to start with Nicholas. Between Minnesota, Montreal, and Ottawa, who's coming away with the hardware?
Before we get there,
Okay.
I want to say a month ago, we were doing our PWHL predictions and our final standings.
You know?
And at that point, Boston was 3rd, and I said Boston dropped out.
Wow.
So
Yeah, you did.
I'm riding high on that one. I think Minnesota is just gonna ride the wave of beating second place team Toronto, and no matter who they face, I think unless Montreal's offense turns it up, I think Minnesota takes it.
All right. Minnesota. All right. Lou.
I'm going to take the Frost as well. Second chance or second bite at the apple, and I think they do it.
All right.
Regardless of who they're up against.
I'm going to go with Montreal. They're going to come back. They're going to win this series, and then they're going to take that momentum. Even though they couldn't take the 4 overtime momentum into game 3, they're going to take this momentum into the Walter Cup, and I think they're going to just be a bit too much for Minnesota.
Okay.
So that is my prediction for the PWHL. Without Jacob here, we can't do the PWHL corner. So that was my attempt at trying to be as spectacular as Jacob in the PWHL corner, brought to you by our friends at LDE Affinity Jewelry and Superfeet with their premium insoles for comfort and pain relief. Check them out. Thank you for sponsoring our segment for the PWHL. All right. Let's talk some Stanley Cup playoffs. We've had some action. Last time we met, Nicholas was in a pretty good place. The Toronto Maple Leafs had just moved on to the second round, and I think I gave you a message to give to the Leafs, and that they have to continue playing in the second round. There's more than one round to the playoffs. Are they aware of that?
Apparently not. I mean, maybe the first 2 games they were aware of it, but afterwards it's been utter nonsense. I talked about this for 2 hours prior to this podcast, and I could talk about it for another 2 hours. It's just ridiculous.
Well, take us down the rabbit hole here. So we have Toronto with a 2-0 lead in the series. Florida comes back in game 3. Where was I mean, because obviously Florida was going to win a game in this series. It wasn't going to be a complete sweep one way or the other going into it. What was the tipping point that is causing concern for the fans in Toronto? Was it after that game 3 loss, or was it further down the road?
I think there's been concern since the start, because the guy who wears our C, who gets paid $13 million, hasn't scored a goal against these guys in the playoffs, and he's still yet to do so. And yes, he's playing great defensively, but he's just not shooting the way that we know Austin Matthews can shoot this puck. And once the season is over, I don't want to hear any headlines. Oh, he was injured. Patrice Bergeron played with a punctured lung. I don't want to hear anything. It's too much. It's 8. We'll give them the first year off because they were young, but it's 8 straight years of disappointment and utter disgrace.
So I'm going to take a little side note here. You comparing how Patrice Bergeron played in the playoffs and using that as the benchmark of how a player should play injured. I think that's the nicest thing I've heard anybody from our Canadian affiliates talk about the Boston Bruins.
Oh, I still hate them. Don't get me wrong.
I just making a note of that. There was a somewhat backhanded, nice way of saying that the Bruins did something once that wasn't terrible.
A Bruin.
A single Bruin, yes. Speaking of single Bruins and now single former Bruins, what has been Toronto's game plan with Brad Marchand?
He hasn't really done much. He hasn't been
He's
very
wreaked
relevant.
havoc, like not on the score sheet, but he is. It seems like he's getting into your heads.
I think he's been in our heads since last year. Every time he's in everybody's head, and that's why during trade deadline he was one of my ideal targets because you want a guy like that on your team. No matter
You
what
do.
Jacob says, I don't care that he's not here. No matter what Jacob says, you want a guy like that on your team. All right, and I can't get over. Obviously, there's been some dirty stuff, which I'm
Yeah.
not going to complain about because it's playoff hockey, even though there's some dumb stuff, but it's just the physicality aspect that our top players don't have.
Yeah. Lou,
Yeah.
uh, watching this series, I mean, I don't know if I'm getting the feeling of absolute dread that a lot of people in Toronto are getting with this series. I knew, like I said, I knew Florida was going to come back and at least get one game. They've gotten three, so it's do or die time. Um, for the Maple Leafs, but to me, this just doesn't feel like the traditional, collapse by the Maple Leafs that we're used to at this time of year. Like it just seems more like a minor setback to me.
I don't know. Last night was when I
You're
tuned
always going to
in.
have those
Yeah.
outliers.
That was 6-0 at one point. It's just there was here's the thing. You could have slapped a Rangers crest on those jerseys and it would have been I would have felt at home. It's like I feel for Nicholas and Luca and Leafs Nation because I have lived this for 31 years now. I mean, just since our last cup. Right now, it for me, and sorry to say this, Nicholas, but it's starting to feel like the inevitable,
I completely agree.
right?
I completely
I don't
agree.
know. There's something about this that doesn't
I hope.
scream the traditional collapse.
I don't get me wrong. I still, I'm a bandwagon, right? I'm on the bandwagon right now. But the play has been um, vicious.
It has been.
Uh, 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 those elbows up is just um, unacceptable. Nicholas, I know what you said. It's playoff hockey, and it gets rougher. It is. I hate the use of the term war or battle or something like that. But I mean, this is outright conflict between teams. But I'm sorry, you take out somebody's goalie, somebody has to pay the price then,
Yeah.
and no one has paid a price,
No.
Because when we try to do something, the arm goes up in the air.
right?
So
Yeah.
I'm not going to give
No, no,
stick to the
no,
rest,
no,
but
no.
it's been a
Yeah.
little bit nuts too.
Yes. Yeah. It really has been. And if somebody was thinking that the Stolar's hit to the head, wasn't serious or was just a glancing blow, then why is he out of the game?
Hmm.
Why is it the
So,
same guy that's given three people concussions in the last three playoffs
right. Yeah.
with no fine, no suspension? Bear in mind,
Yeah.
let's
Yeah. Not
let's
even a hearing.
No.
it's nuts.
Yeah.
Oh, the wheel of justice spins round and round. Um, well, we do know that one team is going to be playing in their conference final. We have the Edmonton Oilers who have advanced to the Western Conference final for the second straight year. They're going to be taking on the winner of the Vegas win, not Vegas. They just beat Vegas. The Dallas Winnipeg series, which I believe Game 5 is this evening. We'll see if Dallas closes it out. They have a 3-1 lead over the Winnipeg Jets. Speaking of the inevitables, let's talk about that Dallas series. We jokingly talked about the reappearance of postseason Connor Hellebuck. And it's kind of come to fruition. Maybe not so much in the first round, definitely here in the second round. He has had a hard time stopping what the Stars have been throwing at him. And that's exactly why they are here in this hole. Um, has there, Lou, watching this series between Dallas and Winnipeg, has there been anything to give you any sort of pause or anything that not screams, but maybe feels a little awkward about the series, or is this kind of playing out how you thought it would?
I'll tell you what's awkward about it. You expect hat tricks to be an occasional treat,
Not
right?
nightly.
Not or by period. The three hat tricks by the Dallas Stars, um, and so I bring that up because um, an awful lot of the blame for what is going to be a Winnipeg Jets collapse, is a lot of the blame is going to be placed on Hellebuck, when in fact his defense has left him out to dry.
Hmm.
Far too often in this series, he's been left alone, particularly on second chance shots, and Stars skaters coming down Main Street for a clear shot on goal. That's unacceptable. He still he's a Vezina finalist, right?
Hmm.
You expect your Vezina finalist goalie to make those saves, to save a game. And I, in the playoffs, he just doesn't do it. I think they lucked out in the first round against the St. Louis Blues.
Yeah.
I, for all of the money, I would have put it on the Blues to win that final, to win that series, and I really think the Jets lucked out on it.
Well, I mean, they almost did win that
Yeah,
series. That
yeah.
was a lot closer than it needed to be, especially game seven going to a double overtime. That very well could have like just one bounce of the puck that we could be talking about the Blues Star series right now.
And a
Um,
much better series. No, so, no,
I
seriously. I
mean,
mean,
yeah,
yeah,
you're
three
right.
one is not a good series. I mean, back to back um, hat tricks by Rantanen, and then was it Robertson got the third?
Granlund.
That's
Granlund,
it.
yeah.
Granlund got the third hat trick. I mean, that's just unacceptable.
I don't know what it is. I mean, watching Dallas against Colorado in the first round, Colorado had similar issues with clearing the puck in the defensive zone, especially around the goaltender. The initial shot blocked, and they can't clear the rebounds or they can't get to the rebounds. And one in particular was I think it was in game three here the first game here in Colorado. You saw you know, two or three Colorado jerseys around a puck that just got, stopped. And the puck is sitting there. And so are the Colorado jerseys before a Dallas jersey comes in and scores. Like there was a
Right.
good second and a half where you had plenty of time to react, but didn't. And I don't know if it's just coincidence, but it's to me, it seems like either as a fan watching it on TV, yeah, you get a better vantage point and you're able to see the puck just a little bit better. Um, but it just seems to me that the Dallas is just being that much faster at reacting to the puck and getting to the open puck rather than anybody that any defender that they've seen so far. No, it just they seem to be moving faster, but maybe I want them to be moving slower. And it's just my heart telling my head that it must be this way.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so 3-1 lead for Dallas. Game five is this evening. Lou, is Dallas closing it out?
Yeah, I think they are. And it's probably not going to be close. I'm going to say
Nicola,
5-2.
5-2. Is there going to be a hat trick?
Yes.
Okay.
They're just loaded for that.
Nicholas, is there going to
Um,
be a necessary game 6?
this game's in Winnipeg, right?
Yes.
Correct.
I'll give Winnipeg the benefit of the doubt and say this goes 6, but I do think Dallas, no matter if it goes 5, 6, or 7, it's Dallas.
Hmm.
I think this is the last gasp for the Jets. So I think they're going to win this. I don't know if they're winning game 6. I think Dallas still wins the series. I think tonight Winnipeg just extends the inevitable. All right. But that brings me to my question with the 3 remaining series right now. With teams in a whole, who has the better chance of climbing out and winning their series? Is it, is it Toronto? Is it Washington, who I think some people may have even forgotten they're in the playoffs right now? Or is it the Winnipeg Jets? Nicholas, I know you've got a vested interest in one of these series, but who do you think has the best chance of climbing out of their hole?
Statistically, it's Toronto, but realistically, I think Carolina has more room for a collapse.
Wow,
Hmm.
really?
Yeah.
Is that more faith in their ability to collapse or more faith in Washington's ability to take advantage?
I think it's a bit of both. I mean, like, f- their starting goalie is Freddie Anderson, and
Hmm.
Freddie Anderson's been on my team, and I know how playoff Freddie can go down, right? So it it's about taking the past and also mixture with Washington's offense and just how dominant they were during the season. I wouldn't be I would be surprised, but I wouldn't be overly shocked if Washington is the team to come back.
Okay. Lou, is that your pick, or do you think someone else has a better shot?
Um, I don't think Winnipeg's coming back. I I'm going to say Toronto has the better chance. I think what we're seeing with Washington is um, it's an age issue now,
Yeah.
and age and speed. And I think Carolina, who I'm not a fan of the Hurricanes anyway, but if they collapse, um, I thought after last season's collapse in the second round that they would have changed head coaches. But I think if they collapse this year, it's done. Rod Brindamore is out looking for a job someplace, so they have to win.
Okay. Um, I I like the Leafs' chances as well. I don't get the um I think the position they're in right now is more mental than anything else. I think this is something they can easily correct and right the ship and make it on to the Eastern Conference final. Um, I don't know if I have faith in the other two teams. I think Washington, I'm going to write them off here. I think that they're cooked, and Dallas is just looking dominant. And if they somehow collapse and lose this series to Winnipeg, I think you can probably give the cup to the Oilers because this Dallas team I think is the best in the West and probably the best that's in the playoffs right now. So
I
yeah, I
think
think
they're long overdue. They're long overdue for a cup, and with the addition of Rantanen now with their young players, they're a very scary team.
yeah. What's it been since '99 that they haven't won a
S-
cup?
Something like that.
Were you around for that?
No, I was 3 years too late.
That's the one. Isn't that the one I went back to Jersey and saw the triple overtime game?
Against the Sabres there?
The Devils.
Uh, the wait, the Stars' last Stanley Cup?
Yeah, wasn't that 2000?
That was the last time they appeared. They lost to the Devils.
Oh, they lost the
The,
Devils. That
the
was
last time they won
was 99.
was 99 against the
That's it.
Sabres.
The Sabres. That's right. Yeah. I was there for that triple overtime. Yeah.
And yes, Hall was in the crease.
Yep.
All right.
No,
I'm not bitter about that one at
no,
all.
no, not at all. Neither nor am I. It's like, God, hated that.
All right. So I mean, I guess we'll just be sitting here patiently waiting for the outcomes and to see who's going to be sitting pretty in the conference finals. I mean, we have one in. We're waiting for the other three to hurry up and finish.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens here.
Surprisingly, the Leafs fan was the only one to not take the Leafs.
I don't think that's surprising. I think that's years of disappointment. You're
Oh,
just
yeah.
just waiting for the worst.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey, hold my beer.
I don't. I feel like you're expecting the worst, but hoping for the best. But I don't know if you're hoping for the best. It seems pretty rough.
Yeah.
All right. I was going to say we could make some predictions, but I think we went over just about every game that's going to be happening. So we've already made some predictions.
Yep.
I think we just cut to the parting thoughts. Like you can cut your hair and make yourself stylish with our friends Manscaped.
Yeah.
Head over to manscaped.com/prohockeynews. Save yourself 20% off your purchase and get your beard nice and trim like Dr. Lou Lafredo. And
Yeah.
Not like me. My playoff beard's still growing.
Yeah.
yeah, those of us who don't have any playoff teams anymore, we've lost the beard.
Hey, it'll be gone after Saturday.
Oh.
Okay. If that does happen, somebody please, send a message out to Nicholas. Make sure he's okay.
Keep me in your thoughts and prayers.
Let's reach out. Let's reach out. All right. Parting thoughts or fun facts, because I know that's something that Nicholas is in favor of doing.
Yeah.
Do you have a fun fact for us this week?
I do. I have a quick thought and then a fact. So my thought is that if Austin Matthews could score, we would have swept the Panthers. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
Second, so my fact. So the longest game in Stanley Cup history took place in 1936. It lasted 116 minutes and 30 seconds of overtime.
Wow. How many
Gee.
overtime periods was that?
That's
6, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. I'm
130
too lazy.
Yeah, six. It was into the sixth period.
Yeah.
Okay, I was
Yeah.
too lazy to do the math myself. I was hoping somebody would do it for me.
Yeah.
All right. Well done. Well done.
Okay.
Lou, parting thought.
Parting thought. I'm going to open this up to a contest. We have a in the box, minty fresh in the box pair of skate inserts, skate pads from Superfeet. There are or have been 7 podcasters on the PHN podcast this season. And if you can tell us on our Blue Sky account at PHN Podcast who was the oldest and who was around for the last Maple Leafs Stanley Cup, you will get a pair of these Superfeet insoles, and we'll send them out as fast as we can. Just let us know, the first one to let us know who's the oldest and who was around to see, and it's the same person, and who was around to see the Maple Leafs and win their last Stanley Cup. You're going to get a minty fresh pair of skate inserts.
Me going on Blue Sky right now.
Okay.
He can use those inserts. All right, listeners. Yep, hit us up on social media. Let us know what the answer is to the question. Get yourself some inserts for your skates. Yeah, I hear they work quite well. My parting thought actually is something that happened to me at work today, and I think I could probably say this with 99% confidence that nobody else on this podcast has had the opportunity to do this. I got to pet a binturong today at work. If you're not sure what a binturong is, it is also known as a bear cat. It is a four-legged, I want to say like a lemur-ish type creature that lives in Southeast Asia.
No.
They're famous, and I can confirm that this is true. They are famous for naturally smelling like buttered popcorn. I will confirm. I did smell buttered popcorn. I got to pet the tail, which was kind of cool. Aquarium brought him into work. We got to, show it off. It's one of their animal ambassadors to raise awareness about endangered animals. I guess the other thing to take away from that is they are endangered, so we do need to do our best to protect them. So.
Did you get a picture?
Yes, I did. I will send it.
We got to share it.
I will share it out. It got to watch it eat, got to watch it do all the cool stuff.
Lemurs are on my bucket list.
It's not exactly lemur, but that's the best way to describe it.
Yeah. I really want to go to Madagascar.
Yeah, that would be cool. All right. That does it for this edition of the Pro Hockey News podcast. Thank you to Dr. Lou Lafredo and Nicholas Principe for joining me on this second line edition. Thank you to our sponsors, Superfeet, LDE Affinity Jewelry, My Custom Sports Chair, Manscaped, and FoCo for making this podcast possible. Thank you to all you listeners for making us a part of your routine. I will see everybody, and I'm sure Nicholas will, next week on the first line.